Uh, 2 years ago, the UK government sponsored a study. I don't know if you're familiar with it. If not, you should take a look at it. The UK fires, very aptly named, actually. It's in caps. It's supposed to be an abbreviation, I think. But UK fires, again, it's a very apt name for the study, which suggested by 2050 the UK should only have two airports, and that the entire world should give up all shipping, like all shipping. And the EU, instead of backpedaling a little bit on the whole new green the new Green Deal agenda, what they're doing is just putting their foot forward and saying, yeah, we're going to accelerate this to be competitive with the US. So, uh, how do you think this will pan out
I
for
mean,
both the UK and the
our
EU
climate,
in relation to the
yeah,
US?
yeah. I mean, it's we already have the most expensive energy in the industrialized world, and never mind that makes it impossible to be competitive with steel or cement. Or I mean, it makes it impossible to be competitive with AI. I mean, what do they think? Where do they think growth is going to come from? We have contracted out our climate change policy to cultists who have lost any interest in empirical data or in the realm of what is possible. And I say this as someone who absolutely accepts the science of global heating. I think there is little doubt that the world is heating in part as a result of human activity, although nothing like to the extent to which some of the extremists claim. But in order to tackle that, you need to be proportionate and realistic. And the only way ultimately that we're going to tackle this problem is we can't do it through emission reductions. We're going to have to do it through carbon capture. And developing carbon capture technologies means we need to be rich in blunt terms. So making ourselves poorer is incredibly bad for the environment. But you realize the more you look at this policy, the more you realize that it isn't about the environment at all. If you accept the need to phase out fossil fuels over time, and I think there's a perfectly good argument, there's a perfectly good free market argument that says the day will come naturally when the price of renewables falls and the price of extraction of the remaining hydrocarbons rises, and so it will naturally happen that there is this transition, and if governments can just advance that so as to address the externalities of the climate change, I buy that. But if you're trying to phase out fossil fuels, wouldn't it make sense to start by phasing out the fossil fuels that come from dictatorships and dodgy autocracies where there is a higher environmental cost in their extraction, rather than to start with yourself, right? Which is the insanity of what we're doing. And this is why I say it's like a religious movement. It's not about climate anymore. It's about suffering and sacrifice in a quasi-religious way to appease the deities, and that has to end. And by the way, I think most centre-right parties are in the right place on this. Most centre-right parties in the world will say, yes, we think that environmental problems are a thing. We think that they need to be tackled, and we will do it as you would expect us to, in a hard-headed, business-like way. We will do it not in a spirit of Greta Thunberg millenarianism, but in a spirit of realism. And that should be a very winning electoral pitch.